And welcome to the webinar with Modo Labs, Texas A&M, as well as CampusBird on virtual reality and the campus experience. We certainly appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend an hour with us to discuss the topic on being able to integrate virtual reality into your mobile campus experience. Joining us today is myself, Courtney Ostermeal, VP of Marketing at Modo Labs. We have Michael Green, who is a senior graphic designer of Texas A&M University, as well as Samantha Slater, marketing manager from Concept 3D with the product CampusBird that she will be covering today. Before we start, I wanted to go over a couple of logistical items. As the broadcast mentioned, everyone is on listen-only mode. So with that said, if you look at the GoToWebinar bar to your right, there is an area that says questions. If you hit that caret, a drop-down will come about where you can type in your questions there. We will be able to see them. And what we're going to do is throughout the presentation, we will stop to answer and ask some of these questions, and then ones that we don't get to, we'll try to get through at the end. But we will have access to these questions afterwards so that if we don't get to them, we will be able to contact you directly. Also note that the recording and the slides will be sent out after the presentation itself. So anybody that has to drop off early, or maybe colleagues that registered that couldn't attend, will also receive it, and you will be able to share this as well. So again, please note that if you do have questions, to use the questions area on the panel, the control panel on the right-hand side. And with that, Michael Green from Texas A&M University is going to kick us off. So thank you again for joining, and Mike, the stage is yours.
Well, howdy, everybody. We say howdy at Texas A&M, and usually when you're in a big group, everybody says howdy back, but I won't hold you to that since you're all on listen-only mode. So like she said, my name is Michael Green, and I am the senior graphic designer here at Texas A&M, which doesn't say too much about what I actually do. You'll see a lot of what I actually do today. And I'm joined by Sam Slater from CampusBird.
Hi everybody. I'm from CampusBird Concept 3D. So CampusBird is the platform, Concept 3D is the company. Super excited to be here and talk VR with all y'all.
And CampusBird is out of Colorado, and I always am envious anytime I talk to them because I know they have much better views out the window than I. But today we are going to be talking just about VR, and this is sort of an overview of what we're going to be talking about. I promise we will not bore you. We will keep you entertained, and hopefully we'll keep you learning, and might even learn some stuff from you guys in the question and answer sessions. We're going to have a few of those throughout this presentation, so please ask any question you have. This is only going to be a success if you guys get all your questions answered, and we keep you entertained and awake the whole time. So please ask any questions you want at any time, and we'll stop throughout. But I first wanted to start with campus experience. I grew up here in College Station, Texas. I went to Texas A&M. I now work for Texas A&M. I can't seem to get out of this place. No, but I love it. And I am so excited to share with people about Texas A&M. And so when I was a freshman, I was a tour guide, as you naturally do. And I was the first freshman tour guide at Texas A&M, and I like to brag about that. But right here's a slide just with some interesting numbers. So they told me you might find this interesting, but you don't have to take notes on this. So when I was a tour guide, it truly was my favorite job that I ever had. I love showing people around. I love telling people about our cool traditions and our history. A lot of you probably work for universities, and so I'm sure you all have that one historic building like we have, and you have that one historic tree that people get proposed to under, just like us. This one, they don't let people, you're not supposed to walk under it alone because you'll be alone for the rest of your life. But if you walk under there with someone, then you're going to be with them for the rest of your life. So you usually only see proposals under this tree. But one thing I found whenever I started working for the Office of Admissions after I graduated was, how do we get people to experience this place? Because when you go on a tour and you walk around the campus and you feel the Aggie spirit, you really do get a full sense of it. And most people apply after they go on a tour. But there's a ton of people, even within the state of Texas, that are unable to come to campus. Maybe it's too far, maybe it's too expensive to come on a college visit. And that's a problem, because we want everyone to experience the cool stuff we have at Texas A&M. In fact, we have this saying around here that, you know, from the inside, you can't explain it, but from the outside, you can't really understand it. And as a marketer, that's a nightmare. You know, that's our job. We're supposed to be able to explain how awesome this place is. And so back when I worked in admissions, I wanted people to be able to experience Texas A&M and the beauty of our campus and the traditions and history digitally, from their house, from wherever they were in the world. And that's when we started partnering with CampusBird. And CampusBird is a interactive map platform that Sam's going to talk about in a little bit. But what this did for us was it allowed people to see our campus and get a sense of place. And maybe I'm weird, but I just love maps. And when I'm about to go on vacation, or if I'm, you know, going to go somewhere, I like to look at a map first, and I like to see what this place is going to look like. And what CampusBird does, and this is a live example here that you're seeing, is it gives you that sense of place. And what's cool, and what we're going to talk a lot about today, we'll take you to the cool Kyle Field, is we've got 360-degree panoramas built on there. So you can get as close as you can to feeling like you're standing in Kyle Field with the 12th man. And that's what we wanted to do. We want people to have those kind of digital brand experiences from wherever they are in the world, and not just limited to people in Texas. So I'm gonna let Sam talk a little bit more about CampusBird for a second.
Thanks, Michael. Yep, this is just probably the most I'm just going to talk about CampusBird. This is a snapshot of just kind of the different features that are available with the CampusBird platform. We say it's an interactive map and virtual tours platform, but it's really so much more than that. We have a really strong CMS that lets Michael, when he wants, to go in and change things and move things around as things become needed. And then we also, mobile is super huge for us. We know that 34% of all people viewing a campus map are on mobile, and so we have that for them. And then we also have great functionality for printing it to save time, so that you can take your map not only on the digital, but then take it into print and other mediums. And then the next slide just shows, oh, there we go. The next slide is just the visualization of a bunch of our different features. Down in the corner, you can see our seasonal overlays. So if you're in a wintry campus during the winter, we can winterize the campus to give you that sense of place that Michael was talking about, it to make it as real to life as possible. And we have over 450 rendered out campuses like this one. When you can see the interiors, you can also see the data overlays that are possible of like live bus tracking, or whether it's a video of the line at Starbucks. All that can be available from the CampusBird platform, which really bringing it all back to that sense of place that Michael talked about. And if you have any questions about CampusBird, feel free to throw them in. I don't want to bore you or become too salesy, but I'm happy to answer them at the end.
Yeah, we have never used a seasonal overlay here at Texas A&M, though I wish we could, because I love snow. And we do not get enough of it down here.
We have had some sunny places put on the seasonal overlay for giggles.
So, and then the other partner that we have, of course, is Modo Labs. And CampusBird's map goes beautifully into our Modo Labs app. And so every prospective student that we have, we try to get them to download the app, and every current student especially has the Texas A&M app, and they use the CampusBird map to get around and to find where their classes are and where coffee is and all of that. But one thing we're going to focus on a little bit is what we do with the prospective students, like I was talking about, where we have these virtual tours and all of this built in to the prospective student persona within our Modo Labs app. So I think we're going to stop for questions for 1 second, just to, if anybody has any general questions about our app, CampusBird, etc.
Yep, so we do have one question around the 360 view for the images. Someone is curious as to what cameras you're using around campus to be able to provide the images that you're doing.
We will definitely talk about that. There's a how we make VR, and I'm gonna cover all of that stuff. So
great.
Look forward to that.
There is a question about embedding the CampusBird tool into the Modo Labs app. Either you can talk about that, or I can myself. It's up to you.
We, at this point, just link to the website, but you can speak further to how it can be better incorporated.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Sam.
No, go right ahead, Courtney.
No, it's okay.
It's your app. I was just going to say, we do, CampusBird, this is Sam speaking, does have an integration with Modo Labs that lets it go beyond just linking to the website. And if you have anything to add, Courtney.
No, I think that covers it. I mean, there is a full integration with the CampusBird maps and the Modo Labs app that does allow you to go beyond a linkage to the web page. And so we're definitely happy to talk more about that after the meeting. There was another question about drone cameras, but you are going to get into the cameras, so we'll hop to the next question. There is a question about Modo Labs CampusBird integration with out-of-the-box modules. Because we do have an integration, this is something that is fairly easy and seamless to do between CampusBird and Modo Labs. Another similar question is popping up in terms of, CampusBird integrating with Google Maps. Do you ever see an overlay between Google Maps and the maps that you provide at Concept 3D?
So we provide we overlay the 3D renderings on 2 different map platforms. Google Maps is one of them. The other one is OpenStreetMaps. So we are able to overlay our 3D renderings onto both maps systems.
Awesome. And so I think we can move along. Some of these questions are similar to ones that were just inquired about, which I can handle via typing in the question box. So if you want to move forward, you can definitely do so.
Cool. So
awesome.
I'm going to let Sam talk a little bit about decoding this alphabet soup of VR, AR, and all of that stuff, because I know some of it can be a little bit confusing to people who are not familiar with it.
Yeah, VR, AR, MR, 360, it can be all a little bit daunting, but it is nowhere near as hard as you think. So this is just the title slide, so we'll go on to just what is virtual reality? What is the overarching, what is virtual reality? So virtual reality can be the simulated experience using 3D images or modeling. That is one way to do it, but then it's most commonly thought of as the immersive first person. So you're in a still, you are able to see 360 degrees behind you. So what virtual reality is able to experience either a simulated world or the real world through a virtual space. So I think the next slide is a good example of how Texas A&M, this is a great example of simulated virtual reality. This is actually a space that's not even built yet. So to show potential donors, potential students, what might be built on a campus. And
this is your new Explore Virtual Tour module, right?
This is the new Explore Virtual Tour module that you use quite a bit, Michael. So you're kind of the master. But this is simulated virtual reality, and then Texas A&M's example will be the first-person virtual reality simulation. And then this is some very interesting 360 video. So the 360 video is, we as CampusBird definitely lump it under virtual reality. There is a debate within the tech space on whether 360 video lives in the virtual reality space, but since you can experience it all ways through the Explore Virtual Tour, we say it lives under the virtual reality banner. This is also where you might hear the term MR, which is mixed reality. Mixed reality means synthesized content over real content. So it's more of just a hybrid. It all lives under the banner of virtual reality. And then there is virtual reality's baby brother, which is augmented reality. Not really baby brother anymore, but augmented reality is just an overlay of digital content onto the real world. There's some really interesting things happening with this, and CampusBird and Concept 3D, we're really keeping an eye on it. But how it's probably most easy to grasp is through the one that everyone knows, which is Pokemon Go. It's a perfect example of augmented reality, of a digital content overlaid of the real world. So hopefully that clears anything up, and I know we're going to have another question segment at the end, so I'm happy to go into any of that further.
Cool. And I think if anybody's still kind of hazy on it, the more we go through this, the more you'll understand just the differences between the two. But AR is definitely something I'm really excited about as it grows into a new technology. And so the big question is how to use VR. And I think some people have this misconception of what you see on the right here, which is this goggle is the only VR, you know, having this expensive goggle system hooked up to a big old powerful computer. And that's definitely part of it, you know, when it comes to big time VR gaming and all that stuff. But it's become much more accessible now through the use of the phone that you probably have in your hand right now. And that's what we're really excited about, because we know that every student on campus has one. We know every prospective student sitting in their high school classroom has one. And then how do we use that? And so there's 3 different ways right now to experience and explore a VR space. And the first one is this icon on the left here, which is just clicking and panning, which is what you saw me do on Kyle Field earlier, where you click and just drag around a 3D space. And if you're on a phone, you just use your finger. And we'll see an example of that in a little bit. The second is using a gyroscope of your phone. So you literally physically move your phone around, and that is what moves around the 3D space. And then the third is that goggle scenario where you put your phone or something else into a goggle, and then you move your head around, and that's what moves the gyroscope of the phone and shows what you need to see. So the way to see that in real life is to download the Texas A&M app, which you can all definitely do right now. And then if you here on the left, and we make sure when you download it that your persona is the prospective student, you're going to have some things that the other people don't have. One of them being the 360 virtual tour or the Explore Aggieland on the left. So in this scenario, we clicked on Explore Aggieland, and it pulls up the Texas A&M map through CampusBird. And then if you click on that hamburger icon, there'll be a tours tab, and then that's all of our tours, but the one on top is the virtual campus tour, which is here on the far right. And the first thing you can do when you open up that tour is pan around. Use your finger to just pull and drag around the scene. Now, this also has the other 2 built in. So if you click on it, then all the tooltips go away, and you can use the gyroscope to pan around the scene, which sometimes feels more natural. And then the third way, if you do have goggles, you saw earlier right there, there's a goggles icon. You click that, and then it splits the screen in half, and you tilt your phone and you place it in a goggle, and you see it as if you're standing right there on Military Walk. And some have audio, so that's cool too. We're going to be improving a lot of our audio, getting a tour guide to record some actual tour data on top of that. So it will be improved pretty soon here. So that's just explaining the 3 ways to sort of navigate a VR space, all within the CampusBird Explore module. So now the big question, how do we make it? And honestly, this is way easier than you think it is. It's gotten so easy that everybody's starting to do it. And if you can do it, you will definitely put your university or whoever you work for on top of your competitor. And I promise you that, because in my opinion, the more you can visualize yourself in a space, the more likely you're going to do that. So if we've got a prospective student and they are debating between here and UT, if they can go and do a VR inside of a dorm room or inside of our rec center, and they can see what it would be like to stand in Academic Plaza and study with their friends or whatever, they're more likely to choose Texas A&M, in my opinion, just because they're able to visualize themselves there. I was going to make a joke about UT's football schedule there, because that's another reason they go to Texas A&M, but I'll be nice. So the first thing you need to do is everybody right now download the Google Street View app. This app is incredible, and it's going to allow you right now, tonight, this afternoon, to go make 360 photos very easily. You don't even have to buy any new equipment. So when you open the Street View app, I'll come back to this slide. The first thing you need to do is make sure you are logged into your official university Google account. That's very important, because then the 360s that you create will be linked to your Google account. And then when you attach those 360s to official Google places on the map, that really helps with your SEO in the way that Google kind of runs their algorithms. So that's the first thing you should do, log into your official account. But then when you want to make a photo, what it looks like is this screen on the right here, where it's kind of all gray, and you'll see one little viewfinder and then an orange dot. And all you have to do is stick your phone and make sure the dot is in that circle. It'll take the first picture, and then it'll put 2 dots on either side of you. So you just kind of follow the dot. It's super easy. And that ends up being this picture of our baseball stadium here. It ends up looking like that, which looks really weird when it's flat. But when you put it into a sphere, it looks perfect. So some tips about using this app. First of all, it's not really good for small spaces. And that's just because when they have to stitch things, things that are closer to the camera are a little bit harder for the computer to understand where to stitch. So this is great for outdoor spaces, but if you're going to do one of your office, it's going to look a little bit distorted. But the best way to get it to not be distorted is to think of yourself, you're inside of a sphere. Really think of your head inside of a bubble. And then if you stick your phone out of, an arm's length away, imagine your phone is sort of attached to the outside of that bubble. And then as you move, make sure that phone is always on the edge of that bubble. So that's kind of easy when you're spinning around just left to right. But then when you go up and you're shooting the sky or you're shooting the ground, sometimes you have a tendency to kind of pull your phone closer to you, or you don't want to hold it up above your head as high. And that's what causes a lot of the distortion people find. And so I found that, thinking of yourself that you're inside of a sphere is the best way to take those, because that's the way that the photo is displayed, sort of on a sphere around the virtual camera. Now, for a 360 camera, if you want to shoot 360 video, you will need a camera. The Street View app does not shoot 360 video. There are some cameras that you can plug into your phone and still use your phone, but it shoots 360s. But the camera that we use here is the Nikon Key Mission 360. They're relatively cheap and they're very small. So like you see here, they've got 2 fisheye cameras on either side. And so what it does is it literally just takes that photo or takes that video, and then it stitches those 2 together, those 2 fisheye bowls. They kind of stitch it together. And that's it. I mean, you can see right here, there's only 2 buttons on the whole camera. There's a video button on the top with a red dot, and then the camera button on the left. It shoots 4K, it's Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's got an app where you can kind of run away, get out of the scene, and then take it with that. So some tips on this: be wary of the seams. So, if you've got a focal subject that you want to make sure, like let's say we're doing Academic Plaza, we want to make sure the academic building is the front and center, I would point one of the cameras at that and not let that be in sort of the seam area. The seams do look great, except again, when you have things closer to the camera. Remember that everything is in the shot, including you, including any lights you might have. So this is sort of the ultimate, let's get a realistic, authentic view of campus, because you really can't light the scene very well. You can't really, do much to it. It's really just what it's like. And that's what's cool. And I think a lot of our prospective students are looking for that authentic view. So this is a cool way to do it. And then just remember to keep the camera at eye height or higher, solely because if you get a lot of ground in a 360 view, it's going to be a majority of your photo. So get a nice tripod that doesn't have too wide of a thing, because you'll see the legs of it, but get it about eye height. Now, this is the most important slide. This is the slide you've all been waiting for. You can take a screenshot of it in a second, but I want to walk you through how to get the content that you make seen. And it's kind of confusing and it's kind of complicated and it's always changing, but this is what I've got for you today. So the first thing you can do, if you go this afternoon and you take a 360 photo with your Street View app, and you get that this afternoon, you can put that directly on Facebook. Facebook can handle photos and video, and I'll show you an example of that here. Oh, I gotta refresh. So Facebook was one of the first to integrate 360s, and it's been really great, and obviously they own Oculus, and so they're putting a lot of effort into it. And of course, this isn't gonna refresh, so maybe we'll come back to that. But you've probably seen it when you're using Facebook. You scrolling through your feed, and then this weird moving picture pops up, and you just use your phone's gyroscope to pan around the scene, and it works the same with photo and video. The next thing would be Twitter. Now, I'm a bit jealous because Twitter only allows this for partners right now, and so people as lucky as Clemson football do have it. So here's an example of what they did for the national championship. There is sound to this, but you probably won't be able to hear it. And you can see right here, they tell you swipe because it's not, you don't expect it on Twitter. And obviously I'm on my computer, so I can't swipe, but I'm clicking and dragging. And this is them just getting off the bus, about to run into their stadium for what we call a spirit walk. I don't know what they call it, but this is great. I mean, if you're a recruit, if you are a student, you know, not many people get to experience, you know, kissing this rock, Howard's Rock right there, and then running down the hill into the stadium. And what a cool way to show it, you know, right there in the middle of Twitter. It's definitely going to stop you from scrolling. So again, only Twitter partners have this technology, unfortunately, but hopefully they will give it out to all of us pretty soon here. So the next obvious thing is Google. So when you use the Street View app, it uploads straight to Google Maps. You can attach that to a building, or you can just let it take your GPS location. But one thing that it's missing is the cardboard integration. The Street View app does have cardboard integration, but you cannot use Google Maps to put into a goggle. And so they've kind of made it convoluted, and it's cool if you've got it, but with VR being so new, there really isn't a public distribution that's widely used in Google's thing right now. So, and they're building their own goggles, and we can talk about that a little later. Oh, wait, let me show you an example of that. One good thing about Google Maps, here's Google Maps, here's Texas A&M. You can take little Street View man and throw him around, and we're gonna throw him down an Academic Plaza. And so this is a picture that we took, and again, you see right here, we are in the official Texas A&M account. And this is just a 360 photo of campus. Now, what's cool about Google is you can link your photos, and then people can walk. And I'm sure you've all done Street View before, where you can sort of use these arrows to get around. We can go here, and then we can even go inside. So you've seen all this. And what you see here is this photo is attached to the Google Maps location, and that helps that location get found whenever someone's searching. So there's that. That's should be self-explanatory. Now, YouTube can do 360 videos. So right now, Google Maps doesn't. No, I'm sure they will add it soon. YouTube does 360 video, and it does 360 video within the goggles. And they've got that Google Cardboard icon only when you use the app, not on YouTube.com. So what I'm about to show you is YouTube.com. So you will not see a cardboard icon anywhere here. But if you're in the app, you will see it right here next to the closed captioning icon. But this is a video I got sent to Palau. We went snorkeling, and you're learning about ocean acidification and the research that Texas A&M is doing in the coral reefs of Palau. So truly was an incredible trip. But this is just an example of 360 video within YouTube, and it's pretty nice. It works really well. It only works in Chrome, so you can't use Safari to do that. So you see how that's kind of fractured and hard to navigate if you're looking for 360 content. You might run into it if you're just using Facebook naturally, but if you're looking for 360 content, it's kind of convoluted. So that's the reason that we went and we've invested so heavily into CampusBird, because CampusBird can do all of this, and then we can also, through our Modo Labs app, push it out to everyone we know cares. And so CampusBird can do 360 photos, as you've seen. They can do the 360 videos within the KR Pana, or what is it called? The Explore module. Here's an example of this. Oh, they're not walking. Let's refresh so you can see my friends in Evan's library. So this is our virtual tour. And you can see here we are in Evan's library. This is a Starbucks, so it's packed. Not live. I wish you could see the live line because it's always very long and I always walk over there. So this is the 360 video within our CampusBird virtual tour. So you can see they've integrated all those things, and then of course the goggles as well. And that's really what our end goal was to get 360 photos and 360 videos into those goggles. And then you think, okay, well, nobody has goggles. Why would you want to do that? And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second because that's very exciting. So I know that was a lot. This is this. If you want to take a screenshot, this is the screenshot of this slide because it's been very helpful to me when I'm trying to remember where things go. So I'll leave it at this, and we can take some more questions, and you guys can screenshot it away.
Okay. Question number one, we're going back here because there are quite a few questions.
Oh boy.
For being able to use the app, CampusBird, the virtual reality, can it work on a Windows phone, Windows mobile devices? There's a lot of questions actually about that. It sounds like there are a lot of students at campuses that have the Windows phone. Really?
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I've looked at our analytics here, and we are 80 to 90% iPhone at Texas A&M. So I'll let Sam answer that because I did have a Windows phone once, I will admit, but I've never used this on it.
So yes, it should work on the more up-to-date Windows phones. So it should work. If they have an older version, then there's certain versions and that it will not work on. But without getting too into the weeds of, well, they have this Windows phone or that Windows phone, I'm going to go with yes.
Awesome. Michael, does Texas A&M use VR for other things outside of the CampusBird tour, or are there plans in the future for other usage of VR on campus, like in the classroom?
Yes, and when I move to the next slide, we're gonna talk about how we made a really cool activation at South by Southwest, and how we're kind of expanding some of those 360 videos you saw. And then I'll talk a little bit about how we're going to give people a bunch of Google Cardboards to do. So yeah, we're definitely doing a lot, and hopefully a lot more as time goes on.
Absolutely. Next question, how many of your users have you seen are using the part of the application for the campus tours?
I have not looked at the analytics. Sam, have you looked on it?
So this is kind of spoiling a little bit. I can say for some of the activation, the South by Southwest that Michael hinted to that we're going to talk about. I know in the span of South by Southwest, 1,500 people were able to view the tour and view the map through the Modo Labs app and the CampusBird Explore virtual tour.
And I will say we had a few different ways of people navigating to the tour. So some were through the map, some were directly to the tour, and some we built a holder website that kind of links to it. So there were a bunch of different ways to do it during that time. So.
Okay. So it sounds like we do have someone from UT Austin on the line.
Hey, how you doing?
And this person is curious from CampusBird, what other institutions can you name that you're working with as well?
So the question was how many institutions are we, which ones?
Yeah, like how many institutions you're working with, and then we could probably follow up with this person directly.
So we're working with over 250 universities across the country. Some really, I guess, bigger names are the University of Northern Carolina, Colorado State University. I'm blanking on all of them now, but there's a lot of them.
Great, thank you. Michael, and I guess maybe Sam for you as well. So if the institution doesn't have an official university Google account, is there a way to do this without having that?
Sure, yeah, you can do it from your personal one, but it's very helpful to have that Google account just so that, going into Google SEO is a whole nother webinar. But I don't know if you guys have had a lot of problems, but I know we've had a lot of problems with our Google map just being a mess, just because, what's an official building? There's 3 different academic buildings, et cetera. So we've done a lot of work to clean that up. And one way to definitely let Google know what's official and what's not is having a official app or official account, and then reviewing from that account, posting photos from that account, and all of that. And owning the buildings with that account as well, being the property manager or whatever it's called.
Awesome. Next question. So you had mentioned earlier that you're taking the photos and you're using those photos to be able to do this. So the question is if photos have already been taken and then they choose to implement this at their campus, can those photos be used, or do they have to retake all the photos to be able to do this?
You definitely should be able to use those.
I can speak to that. As long as they're at a high enough pixelated rate, or like have a high enough quality, we should be able to use them and get them on the map, put them in Explorer. So there's no need to retake things that you already have, as long as they're of high enough quality.
Great. Next question is about the analytics. So where do the analytics come from? Do they come from Google? Do they come from CampusBird? Do they come from the Modo apps, the Modo Labs application? Where does that type of information come from to see usage reports?
So to see usage reports, it is Google Analytics that we use. So when a campus goes live, they add in their Google Analytics tracking code into the CampusBird CMS, and they're able to see usage rates, anything you could normally see from a Google Analytics view.
Great. Michael, question for you. Do you send the VR headsets to any students that are maybe looking at your campus for pre-admission, or others that can't attend campus? Or do you have them on campus, the VR headsets?
Yes, and you're kind of giving away the secret, but yes, that's one of the big things we are looking to do. We got a bunch of these made for South by Southwest, and we reserved half of them to potentially send to every high school in the state of Texas. And so that way, literally every single kid at a high school in Texas can go to their counselor's office and take a tour of Texas A&M without having to leave their school. And we think that's an incredible idea. UT Austin guy better not steal it. But yeah, so we're really excited about that idea. And I think that's going to revolutionize the way kids see universities. Some have never even been to one. And so being able to do that from the comfort of their own high school or their own home is revolutionary, I think, in my opinion.
Wow, that is very cool. So question for CampusBird, and then we'll have one more, and then we'll move along. Does CampusBird integrate with video like Halo or GoPro Odyssey?
The honest answer is potentially. One of the great things about our platform is our ability to display any sort of data that is available. It's why we can display live video feeds from certain campuses. So without having my VP of technology next to me, and I can't say 100% yes, but I'm definitely happy to take that offline to see what kind of feed we would be getting from that. And so I'm going to go with most likely.
Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and move along. We can save these questions. We got through a bunch. There are definitely more to go, but we can save them for the end.
Great. So next, I just want to talk you through the full scope of kind of how we rolled this out and how we announced all of this to the world. And it was at South by Southwest this year, which is in Austin, right in our orange best friend's backyard. And we rented out an entire hotel, and we created Texas A&M House. And this hotel was actually owned by an Aggie, which was cool. But we had a full space where we got to host actual South by Southwest events and conference events. We hosted, all kinds of mixers, live music, etc. But one of the biggest things we had inside of there was this VR example. And so you see they've got these maroon Google Daydreams, they just came in maroon. So I was like, oh yeah, buy 10 of those immediately because they look so cool. And within those, we had a VR experience where you didn't have to take your phone and put it in, but we had some preloaded in there with a custom app built in. And then you see right there next to it is CampusBird's virtual tour right there. So from right there in Texas A&M House at South by Southwest, you could go around the world, and we call it 24 Hours of Global Impact, you see on the left, and go different places of where Aggies are having an impact, and we can watch some of those a little later. We can talk about it if you want. And then you could also tour our campus. We did the exact same thing in our trade show booth at South by Southwest. A lot of people came through there, and you see there, we gave away these Google Cardboards that are sit on the table there. A lot of people came up and asked, like, can we buy these? And we're like, no, you can have it for free. You can have 2 if you'd like. And they really loved that. Gave away a ton of pins as well. And so what people walked away with was some people had, they're from around the world, they're coming to South by, they've never heard of Texas A&M. They don't even know we're a university. But what they walked away from is they can then choose, oh, let's go to Panama, let's go to Palau. And they see, oh, I'm from, this place. I didn't know you were doing this in my country. And that was really cool. People walked away with a tangible idea of something Texas A&M does that they may not expect. One other cool thing we had in there was obviously Kyle Field, and you could stand in our student section as we sawed varsity's horns off as we do in our war hymn. And a lot of people love doing that because we have the biggest stadium that some of them had ever seen. And so sitting in the stands and doing that in virtual reality right there from Austin was really cool. So they walked away with this Google Cardboard. Here's another picture of that. These Google Cardboards are custom branded. You throw your phone in there, so that night when they went back to their hotel room or whatever, they could do the exact same experience from their phone, from the comfort of their home. And so we know these went all over the world. They took them back, from wherever they were from. And you've got this link on the top there, tx.ag/cardboard. And when you go to that link, you can then choose. You can see our global impact, which takes you to that YouTube playlist of 360 videos. And then you could also explore our historic campus, and that is our CampusBird tour. And so people from around the world have been sort of taking this home and using those cardboards for this and for other things as well. And that was just a really cool activation, something that people ran from around the convention center to our booth to say, hey, I heard so much about this, like I got to see this. So that was really cool to kind of be an innovator and a big name at South by Southwest this year. So that was pretty much that whole thing. This is the end of my slides here, but we can stick around and chat about VR. I can talk about it forever. So.
Well, thank you very much. This was an awesome presentation, and fortunately we do have some more questions to go through. So if it's good for you, I will just jump in ahead and do that.
Sure.
Great. So the question about the students in the images, and my guess this answer will be close to how Google does this, right? Sometimes they catch people in their photos as well. But the question is there a release form? Is it, what is it around students that allows them to be in some of these images? Or is it because it's essentially, on campus through there, it's a public entity, when the VR photos are going up and the images and the videos?
So when I take photos with the Google Street View app, I make sure to blur anything that I just know I shouldn't put on Google. So like within the app, once you take your nice photo, you can pan around it and then just click and spot click people's faces or signs or whatever, and then add blur, which is kind of cool right before you publish it. And so I make sure to do that for Google stuff. For the videos that you see in the tour and everything like that, we do have release forms that we get people to sign. For some of those, they're just so far away that, you know, in those big public spaces, I think we have a university, like just a wide release that most students or all students sign. I'm not sure. That way they know if they're like in a public space, there definitely might be photographed. So there's that. But, you know, whenever there's a specific, you know, focus on a person or something, we definitely get a release form.
Great.
And
sorry, Sam, go ahead.
I'll just chime in on that. It is by state, the law on that, but most states use the basically 10 or more. If there's 10 or more people within the view, you do not need to get release. If it is less than that, then you need to get release. But I would say check with your state. It is regulated at the state level.
Great, thank you. So question about being able to edit the video for split screen. So the question is how do you shoot the 360 video and make it into a split screen for the VR headset?
You don't have to do anything at all. It truly, you film it, and then if you have it on the YouTube app and you click the cardboard viewer, it immediately splits it into two right there for you. And the same with CampusBird's module as well. You don't have to do anything extra. It's just something the computer does to create that, what is it called, stereoscopic view.
Awesome, thank you. So sorry, one second. Question about compliance in terms of accessibility. Can either of you speak a little bit to that? You know, is there a compliancy challenge with having VR, or is there a way for it to be able to be screen read if students were to use it?
Sam, do you want to speak to that?
So I can speak that's a little bit specifically around accessibility in VR. It's still being created. So at CampusBird, we keep a really close eye on the standards and what is the standard. I can say our platform, we try our best effort for everything to be accessible. Our map is will very soon be ARIA tagged for screen readers on all of that. For the Explore, that accessibility, they can click through, but there are no regulations that we have been able to find around accessibility and VR.
Great, thank you.
Add to that, there are like information bubbles on this tour as well. So there are text-based descriptions of what you're seeing, as well as just the photo. And then if there's anybody talking, I know some of these have tour audio right here. There's a transcript of that as well.
Awesome, thank you. Question about your software usage for editing the 360 video. What do you use to edit the videos?
Yeah, so we used Premiere, and Premiere has sort of built in this new VR plugin into it, so you can view because you know, when you have a video that you've taken, it looks really weird when it's in square. But within Premiere, you can turn the VR thing on and then actually pan around your video just like you would if you were viewing it within Premiere. And then that's how you go and add the text if you want to add, you know, labels or captions to your video. That's how you do that. You literally just throw it in as you would on any other video. And just a technical point there, putting it in the middle is better, because the more you get closer to the bottom and the top, that's where the video sort of wraps it around and pinches it. And so text can get a little bit distorted if you go lower or higher. So.
Thank you. For tagging names over locations in the 360 videos, is there a specific software? What's the process to be able to tag the names for the specific locations of your videos?
I think that is what I just talked about. So something like this, we literally just added the
Yep.
these words into Premiere. And so you kind of just throw them in different places. Yeah, just make sure they're legible, because it's very difficult. It's very different to look at it flat and you're like, oh, I can read that. And then in 360, it's just all kinds of different once it's in the sphere. So.
Right. Question about the backstory. So there was a good question about how this idea came about, how the other departments were able to get together, or your department to be able to deploy a successful launch of this within the Modo app with CampusBird, and what your entire team has done. Could you just take a couple minutes to speak to that sort of inception to execution so that others can learn from that?
For the entire suite of things, or just the VR implementation?
I think the VR is fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it kind of all just happened at once, actually. So we were excited about the 360 photos and that CampusBird already supported on their map. And so I was like going and taking those like crazy. And then I think we also started taking some 360 videos as well. I work closely with somebody over in admissions who's interested in this as well. So I think actually that's what it was. His name is Dom Benjamin, and he might even be listening. And he was going to start taking 360 videos of places around campus that you can't go on a tour, so like labs, or if you wanted to show people within, restricted areas or classrooms, while class is going on, things you can't see it as just a normal visitor. And so he was going to take in 360 videos, and I kind of went with him, and we were all excited about it. And then in that moment, I think CampusBird approached us, and I love the CampusBird people, you can probably tell. And so we work very closely together, and they were like, hey, we're working on this new VR tour. Would you want to be one of our first people to use it? And so I'm like, yes, we already have all this content. So it really was just a match made in heaven there, because we already had the content and they just wanted something to test it with. So that's when we decided, hey, why don't we shoot for South by Southwest as the sort of public launch of both our content and your platform. And yeah, that was really, I think, the story. And though I will say that Dom in the admissions department has been making their videos and are pushing them out just through admissions. And I should say now I work for marketing communications, which are separate. And but very soon, I don't know if I can give this away, Sam, but I'm just going to. You will be able to have 360 video on the CampusBird map. And so we're excited to, for instance, let me just show you. We've got Kyle Field, you could put a 360 video instead of a photo, or you could even zoom all the way out and you could be like, what's Texas A&M doing? We have a video at ESPN, so we'd have a little pin over here in Bristol, Connecticut, and people would be like, wait a second, what's over there? They click that and they can watch our 360 video right here from our map.
You are not giving anything away, Michael. That is very, very close to having not only the 360 panorama stills, but the 360 videos accessible from the map.
Yeah, so soon we'll have all these right here: Palau, Panama, Hong Kong. We'll have these thrown on this map, and maybe when you click one of these layers and it says global impact, it'll zoom out to this, and then you can watch what we're doing around the world. So really excited about that. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome, thank you. Question again about sort of the software usage. Can you use other types of Adobe systems like Illustrator when you're doing the editing or rendering of either the photos or the videos, or are there other software tools that you recommend while you're building this out to make it a little more customized?
You can use Photoshop. I know that. I've done that as well, just to when there are some stitching errors, maybe on the grounds, for instance, I've thrown it into Photoshop and tried to clean up a few of those lines that you might see. So you can definitely use Photoshop, and then you really just pump it out as a very large photo, and then it's the software that CampusBird has that takes it and wraps it around. So I'm sure it could do with a normal photo. It would look really weird. So on the flip side, when you take a 360 photo, it looks really weird until you wrap it around. So yeah, it's kind of hard to edit because I wish I could, you know what, I could probably just pull one up and show you what it looks like, because it's kind of hard to
yeah.
what's going on.
While Michael's pulling that up, I'll throw my 2 cents. One of the tools we do use is Illustrator and Photoshop as well when we are working with the 360 photos and videos. And it's great that one great thing about the CampusBird platform is that you can take it all and just send it to us. But if you also are like, I don't have the time, I have a million things, we also can do it for you. So if you're not a Photoshop wizard, we'll also do it for you.
Yeah. So here's what it looks like when it's flat, and it might look okay, but you can see up at the top here, it just looks really warped. When this is truly a straight line, it looks really weird, and same thing with here at the bottom. So it's kind of hard when I'm trying to like edit this blurry bit, just because like, do I make it straight or do I try and replicate that curve? Because in the end, the computer program is going to make this straight. So I'll show you what it looks like once you throw it in. This is our football complex, and I may have just frozen my whole computer. Oh no, we got it. Okay. So yeah, so you can see that's a straight line up here, and these banners look real rather than weird little squished up things. So in the end, it kind of is hard to make those edits. When you do the video in Premiere, like I said, you can preview it in the 360 sphere, which is awesome. When you're editing photos, I wish Photoshop had the same thing, where you could preview the photo in a 3D sphere and try and edit within 3D space, but I don't know if we're there yet. So
great. So there's a double question. One is about cost, but I think that's something that can be taken offline. The second part of that question, though, is how much of this consumed your time when this was getting launched? You know, I know you had mentioned how this came about and how it was launched, but in terms of resources, like what would you recommend to institutions, small, medium, large, that are looking to implement something that maybe don't have, you know, a robust resources in marketing or communications or IT? What would be a range of a good amount of resources in terms of people to be able to get this launched, and the time frame to which it would take?
I will say, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but most of the CampusBird stuff you see has just been me, especially this type of data where you can go in and like buildings and all of that. It's just maybe one passionate person. These 360s don't take any time at all to take. I mean, literally anytime I'm walking across campus and I am in a building and I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be great to have a 360 of this. I whip out my phone, I take the photo, upload it to Google, and then I go back to my computer, throw it on the map, and publish. I mean, it's truly that simple. And that's the thing. It's like when you don't have anything, any sort of new content is great. You just throw it up there and it's just something you didn't have before. So now on top of that, CampusBird, like she said, can help you out if you want to just get a lot of stuff all at once, or if you want to roll it out. So like they've been a great help to me. But really, this doesn't take that much time. Once you get all of the content on there, building names and all of that, it just runs itself. And then when it comes to 360s, just take them as you go around, and you know, it's about how much you want to put into it. Because to me, I think it's been a great tool, and I love making it better because I know, like I said, when kids can envision themselves standing in front of the 12th man statue like this, they're more likely to come here for school. Yeah, you know, they're more likely to be like, whoa, I want to do that in real life. You know, and if that's all you get out of it, then that's awesome. That's a win for me. So Sam, do you want to talk some about that?
I think you covered it really well. The only thing I would add is we have lots of different options for, like, if you are not quite the size of Texas A&M, we have options for smaller schools as well, and we take that into account as we start the production and the development process with each school.
It should
Great,
be
thank
easier
you.
with a smaller school, because I mean we have a massive campus, so the smaller your school, I think the easier and the more granular you can get with your content. So
wonderful. And so one final question that we will get to now that we're wrapping up. Could you pull up the page again where it showed where to download the Texas A&M app? There are people that would love to download it just to get a feel for your application. And I'm pretty sure you had a slide in here that showed the app. Perfect, there it is. So for those that were asking about it, this is where you can download the Modo and CampusBird Texas A&M app from Google Play or the Apple Store to be able to take a look. And then obviously if you've got further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. But Sam and Michael, thank you so much for your time today. A little round of applause. Definitely interesting, and I hope those on the line learned a great deal. But there will be, my guess, questions following up from this that we'll touch base with. And for anyone on the call, thank you again for spending an hour of your time with us this afternoon. And do look out for the PowerPoint presentation as well as the recording. And we look forward to staying in touch. So thank you again. Okay. So with that, we will end the meeting. Michael, Sam, thank you again for your time, and I hope that everybody has a great week.
thanks.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Courtney.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.